52 Buick is finally ready to go home, and what a fantastic job the crew did on this car. I mean, it looks absolutely amazing. From the buff job to the way the paint laid down, the two-tone assembly. I mean, this thing just looks absolutely killer. This car has been here, not the longest of all the cars we've had here since we've opened, but it definitely has been here longer than most. It had extensive metal work, body work, hours and hours and hours and hours of block sanding, priming, blocking, just to get this body to look this good. I'm really blown away at the talent that I have here in the shop, and this right here speaks for itself. I mean, just absolutely beautiful. I'm super excited for the owner to get his car tomorrow. He's been absolutely great this whole entire time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the car sitting right with all the interior back in it, and him enjoying this with his family cruising down the road. So check out the Buick 1952. We're finished up with it, super pumped on it. On to the next one.
Oh, see, I got that on film too. Scratch and dent, half price.
We're here with Chris from Tasco. We have decided to go with PPG here at the shop, and he's got everything set up for us. I just wanted to kind of give him an opportunity to kind of talk about it and explain a little bit about what the new system is that we have and the mixed bank, and so you guys at home can kind of see what we're going to be using in the near future. So
yeah, this is Chris with Tasco Auto Color. We're a platinum distributor for PPG. This is PPG's NXT line, where they went to all liquid pearls, and yeah, it's a new paint line. It's great for restoration. It's great for collision work. It's a fast-paced, great product.
One of the things that I really like about the PPG setup or system is how easy it is to navigate through. And, you know, we were a certified PPG shop years ago, and, you know, I've maintained a relationship with this guy here, and now we have a new company that we can work with, Tasco, and go back to PPG, and, you know, really wanting to show you guys kind of some of the behind the scenes stuff, like how easy it is to access this for our future customers, to create colors and formulas and to store them in the system. So if there is ever a reason why we've got to repair something, we're able to do so pretty easily. Yeah, so after we click on the color and it shows us what's in the color, we're going to set up our mixing cup, zero our scale off, and then we'll go over here to each of these toners. We'll pop the toners and we'll pour in, you'll see right here, we'll pour in these actual amounts right here exact, and it will come up with that exact color. And then of course you do spray outs from there to make sure it matches. But yeah, that's basically how we would create that color and be able to store it in here, where traditionally, like with a lot of custom painters, you've got your house color quarter paint you ordered and it sits in your cabinet, and then you got to check batch numbers and make sure the batch is correct, and if the batch isn't correct, it can be off a little bit. Well, here, if we make it, you know, in-house, we're able to tint it, modify it, adjust it, or if we are doing a custom color where the guy, say he wants 2 of these house colors blended, you know, we can blend those colors, create our own formula for it, and if there's ever a need for repair, we go right back in the system, pull it up. Oh, there's Joe's truck that we did a fade on, and we use these colors, and we'll be able to pull up that formula and do the repair on it. Much easier than just guessing. There's a lot of features about this system that are really cool. The camera system is great, which we can take pictures of a panel on a vehicle. Like say we can't find a color code or we're struggling with the match, we can take a picture and pull up a formula that way as well. And usually that'll get you closer in the ballpark, especially if you're just trying to tint something for a blendable match.
So when we pull up a formula, like we pulled up Ford UX and got silver, so we can compare 2 different formulas, the prime with the darker bluer. And so visually we can move it around on our screen here and see the difference of both of them. So this is to help you get a faster, better color match without having to mix up a bunch of paint.
And right there you can see the darker flop to the lighter flop, splitting the formula.
And that's outside. We can move it to a lighted booth. You can put a light gun on it and see the difference of the 2 colors with it.
And obviously this is to get you in the ballpark until you actually do a spray out to know. It's supposed to speed up the spray out process, right? It's not going to be exact.
Yep. So that way you're not mixing up a whole bunch of paint and doing spray outs and testing it. You can kind of adjust here based off of what you're looking for before you have to make up the paint.
Right. So I guess to sum it up, that's why we decided to go back to PPG. And as we move forward, you'll see what we do with them. So appreciate you, man, setting it all up and explaining it to everybody, and looking forward to the next 5 years of business with you. Appreciate you, man.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yep. One of the most physical parts of the body shop is definitely doing the body work and block sanding it and getting it dialed in and ready for paint. As you can see, Dylan here is carving away at this polyester primer, trying to get this thing all blocked out and get all the blemishes fixed on it so we can get it cleaned up and ready for a final prime before we start proceeding with the paint process. Typically a car will get put into a polyester primer, and then after it's primed, it'll get blocked out, any issues we found addressed, and then we'll put it into a final prime that we will take all the way through to paint. This right here is our first prime on this car. A lot of modifications done to it. Has the Kindig door handles, it has a custom fiberglass rear end all molded in, custom fiberglass bumpers both front and back. So after a week's worth of block sanding, we got this Mustang all blocked out in 120 grit. After this first round of primer and block sanding, this is when all the fine lines start to get dialed in, and you can really start seeing all the gaps coming together and the panel match coming together.
All right, so we just pulled the Ford Mustang out of the booth from getting in spot prime today. We got it pulled back over in the stall so that we can get the lines laid back out on it and get this polyester primer that we spot primed on here blocked out so we can get this thing finalized. From here, we're gonna blow it apart and get it in final primer, and then we'll start prepping the door jambs, getting those cleaned up. We got a dash that needs a lot of work we gotta get fixed up. But the next time this car comes apart, it will be going back together with some color on it.
So we got some of the parts in the booth to get primed. Got the doors in here, one of the fenders. The guys are getting the other fender ready, getting everything meticulously masked up so don't have any added overspray, any added labor later on after we get this thing in final prime. We can just flip these things over, start prepping for paint and spot repair or fix anything we find along the way. All right, guys, as you can see, we got the Mustang parts in the booth. We got our hood prepped, seam sealed, our edge basically ready to be painted. It's already been shot satin black, so our plan from here is basically to wrap the candy orange color over the edge with a nice clean line. So we got our fenders prepped, cleaned, seam sealed as needed, ready for paint. Our doors, we smoothed out the texture. So anybody that's familiar with these old Mustangs or any of the older cars where the actual metal itself has a texture to it, that's been smoothed out. All the seams have been meticulously masked up and all new seam sealer put in there. So these parts are gonna look as good as brand new when they're done. Definitely excited to see this stuff come together. And now it's time for the fun part, the shiny stuff. While this stuff's flashing off, it's a perfect example, perfect time to tell you guys kind of how this works. So he's applied sealer, then he's applied a coat of base coat. It's gonna flash off or dry, and then after that happens, he'll come back in, he'll apply one more coat of base coat. If it's good, doesn't need to be denibbed or anything, he'll go outside and start mixing up some clear. He'll come back in, lay down a couple coats of clear on the deck lid, and then we'll actually be finished jamming out all of the parts for it. So the next thing for us will be getting this car back together and start blocking it out and getting it ready for paint.
Right now we're getting all the body panels back on, aligning all the gaps. So everything's in final prime and the car is actually jammed. I don't know if you can, when you go around you can see the inside of the jams are painted, inside the doors, inside the deck lid. The underside of the hood is black. So now it's all in final prime, so we're gonna put it together to prep it, make sure all our lines are crisp and straight. And the car will come back apart to get all masked and it'll get painted together.
What about this one in particular? What are you looking forward to seeing? Any struggles you had on the car?
Yeah, no, I mean, this car wasn't started here, so that's a huge struggle. It's trying to not waste the customer's money and go backwards and dig up everything the previous shop did, but then sometimes you end up spinning your wheels by old repairs or things like this fender was caved in. We had to stretch it and shrink it and get the metal to where we wanted it, and that was a big struggle. That was probably the biggest problem area. The quarters were okay, the doors were okay. I mean, we had to do metal work and a lot of body work everywhere, but this one fender was really tough.
What did you guys have to do to the jams in order to get them painted? Did you guys have to strip them down?
Yeah, bare metal. They weren't, it looked like they were kind of like an original paint or the previous shop, it looked like they hadn't touched it. It was all this real garbage and rust and everything had to be stripped. And sanding the jams is really tough because when he goes around and on the camera, you can see it's not a flat surface. There's all these nooks and crevices and valleys, and you got to sand it by hand almost, or wire wheel it or strip it. It almost takes more. It'll take more time to do a jam that's 1 square foot than it will an entire hood that's 10 square feet or whatever.
Okay, so we got this Mustang all jammed out. We went ahead and smoothed out the insides of the doors. If you actually look at the center here where the door panel is going to go, this is what it looks like from the factory inside this whole door. But we ended up grinding it down smooth, primed it, body worked the stuff that was, like the spot welds and some of the imperfections, stuff like that. Someone drilled out the countersinks for the latches. We ended up having to make new countersinks and weld those in, so that's all done and smooth now. And yeah, we got this thing looking good, and it's gonna be getting blocked out and ready for paint soon. Yeah, I'm really excited to spray this one. All the stuff that I've done so far, it looks really good. A color like this, when you spray it, it just pops. You lay that clear on there, and it looks good, like right off the bat. Some colors, like the lighter colors, the lighter silvers and stuff, and the whites, they're not super rewarding because you can't really see too much as you're spraying it. But when you're spraying a really unique color like this, it's awesome to see as the clear goes down. So yeah, I'm really excited to shoot the rest of the car.
Another great day at the shop, lots of progress. We got the fenders on, we got the doors on, we got the hood on. We're just about ready to set the trunk on the car.
Yeah, taking things apart, every step you go forward, it looks better because it's closer to the end. You put a coat of primer, you can see it better, and then things don't look the same. And there's also a lot of variables. There's a quarter. This moves in a million different directions, so I'm going to loosen that up. And you have the hinges as a variable. So when you're putting multiple parts together, like when you're putting the door on, you kind of just have to worry about the rocker and the quarter. There's a lot of moving parts, more parts to worry about here. So.
We've got all the hinges felted so we can adjust everything into place without scratching any of the fresh paint on the door jambs that we've already painted. We've got these cool little latches installed in the hood. Got the hood painted underneath. Basically, we are just about ready to start masking this car up for the final wet sand and paint. And then from there, we'll be getting it painted. Hopefully we don't have any major issues to address. Usually we do along the way after we get everything jammed out, so we'll see how it goes once we get it all prepped and ready to paint. If we find any issues, any little dings or waves or dents that may have happened in the prepping process when we're getting everything jammed underneath, nobody's perfect, and we definitely aren't either, and things happen along the way. But that's the whole idea of leaving the outside in primer so that we can get it all prepped out and look it over and make sure it's good before we go to paint. One of the things that we did was addressed all the gaps now, so when we go to wet sand the car, everything will be in its place where it's going to be essentially once it's finally painted and put back together. But we'll get the car masked up, we'll get it base coated, and then once it flashes, we're going to pull it apart and we're going to clear the car in pieces, and then we can sand and buff it in pieces. So looking forward to seeing this thing done. Something cool and something new around here besides just another pickup truck. We do a lot of trucks, so it's actually exciting to see something with not only a cool color, but something besides a truck. So we're all pretty excited to see this thing done. Love the color combination on this Mustang, and looking forward to showing you guys what it looks like painted. So stay tuned. So one of the things we do a lot of around here is we paint engines, transmissions, drive lines, third members. We get them stripped to bare metal, as you can see here with this transmission, with the drive line. So we paint a lot of this stuff here for the show cars that we do for Tray 5 next door. So we've got all this stuff in the booth, prepped, ready to be cleaned, finalized. All right, so the most important part after you get this stuff prepped is definitely getting it clean, right? So you can see these rags here are pretty dirty. General rule of thumb for us here is clean it until the rag is clean. This way you get all the contaminants off of it, any wax and grease or anything like that as far as oils, contaminants, etc. So clean it until it comes clean on the rag. Step number one. Step number two, and I get asked a lot, do you guys use high temp paint, specialty paint? What are you guys using to paint this stuff? The answer is no. We're using base coat, clear coat, single stage. It just depends on the job. But the same paint that we're applying onto the outside of the car is the same paint that we're applying onto our engines, our transmissions, drive lines, etc. It's all in the prep. So getting everything prepped and ready and clean is the most important part. Once we get everything clean and ready to be painted, we're going to apply a direct to metal sealer on all the metal parts, and then we'll apply our base coat on top of that. So again, clean, 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 clean. Gloves, wax and grease remover, clean it till the towels are clean, and then a direct to metal sealer is what we do here on every single engine, transmission, driveline, etc. that we paint. So just wanted to make sure I kind of told you guys about that. I know I've been asked a lot of questions about it, so there's your answer. Guys, we got sealer made up, everything's clean, and we're going to lay down 2 coats of sealer over all the bare metal. All right, we got our sealer laid down, 2 coats on the parts. Got about a 30-minute flash time. So we are going to start laying down the black base coat. I plan to lay down 3 coats of that, let that flash between coats, and then I'll mix up some clear and get this stuff looking shiny. All right, guys, here is the new look for the showroom. Everything's painted, put back on the walls. The office is redone. Obviously, the showroom I'm showing you right now is redone. Today, we are getting the signage out front redone by Soul Prints. Definitely stoked to see the new look outside the shop. We've got a mixer room we did in the back. We've hung curtains up for the body shop area to keep the dust down and kind of keep everything separated back there. We've done some paint work back there. We've replaced some lighting back there, and we're getting ready to do the Like 90 booth coating, along with changing out all the light bulbs in the booth to freshen that up. So definitely excited for all the changes around here. I just kind of wanted to show you guys quick what it looks like, and hopefully we'll see you here at maybe one of our future open houses or as a customer here at Eye Candy Paintworks. All right, we got the Mustang here. We're getting ready to start masking it up for paint. So if you want to see what that looks like when it's in the booth getting sprayed, like, subscribe, follow us on the next video. We're going to show you guys this thing actually getting painted.
Well, yeah, I struggle with everything, but maybe I shouldn't say that on camera.
Which really is what represents eye candy to me. Loud, crazy, obnoxious, and in your face. Kind of like this compressor right here that keeps going off every 30 seconds. So behind me here is Derek's 57 Chevy pickup. We did a full custom paint and bodywork job on this. Let's start that again, sorry Brian. So behind me here is Derek's compressor. So behind me here is Derek's 1957 Chevy pickup.